Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You're watching Plum Bob Diaries with MJ, and today we are back in my memory lane series. So if you don't know, I've got this ongoing series at the moment of me literally taking a trip down memory lane, going through my old builds and sharing them with you guys. So that's what we're doing. So in the last couple of videos, we were in another neighborhood of Willow Creek, where originally the pancakes stay, and you guys got to see a lot of my vintage old builds as it pertains to like 90s and 80s suburban style homes. And today we're in a different neighborhood. Currently I'm in build mode, and that's because I have my sim here, Mr. Sunny. You can see him across the street over there. I literally can't move any further than this while in build mode, but he arrived here so late at like 8 or 9ish, so it's a little dark in live mode. But just to introduce you guys to the lot we're going to be taking a look at, I wanted to, throw on some morning light on it so you can see it well. But yeah, so today we're in this neighborhood of Willow Creek. I actually forget what's the name of this neighborhood too, but yeah, it's another favorite neighborhood in Willow Creek. It's something about the cozy, like down to earth, like mid to lower class style homes. And when I say mid to lower class, I mean like 1 story, modest style homes that are so familiar to me that I enjoy seeing in the game. So anyway, we're taking a look at this home right here, and I don't want to ignore the elephant in the room because I know you guys see a bunch of different styles on one block, and you're probably thinking like, girl, what were you doing? Why are all these different styles right here? Let me tell you. Originally, the idea for this was to have elderlies all on one block. So I had this idea of like, I want my game to be diverse, and I don't want just a bunch of adults or young adults in the game. I want to be able to play with all lifestyles, all life ages. What do you call them? See, that's how much at the time I did not play with anything other than young adults. But yeah, the different life states. So at the time that I made this save file, again, I was inspired by Growing Together, and I wanted to prep for gameplay with that build. I mean, with that game pack. And I was like, I need multi-generational families. I need grandparents. I need elderly sims. I need toddlers in my game. I need teen sims in my game. So I needed to make all these different families and all these different sims. And this neighborhood was an idea that I have. This was going to be a nursing home, or, elderly retirement estates or something like that. There's an elderly couple that lives here, and they have like this Oasis Springs inspired home slash mid-century home because their now grown adult children live in Oasis Springs, and I thought, why not do a callback? But I understand that it looks a little bit wacky, but that's to the charm of going down memory lane with me. But so, I will, change this up a bit. Down here, this is supposed to be the spookiest house on the block. You will get a tour of this. This is like that old creepy couple that just, they stay here. But the kick to this house over here is that it's a lovely couple. A lot of the other neighbors don't think so, but like there's a lovely couple that lives here. They're vampires, they're elderly, and they're just oblivious to the outside world and what the outside world thinks of them. But they're very nice couple, and they don't like drink from any sim. Like they're good vampires. But anyway, nevertheless, we're gonna be checking out this Elderly Bungalow. So the inspiration for this was from I believe it's called San Sequoia Cottage. Lil Simsy made a video about her build process for the little cottage that she made that came with San Sequoia, in the Growing Together pack. And it was a bungalow build. And I thought it was so cute. And you know what happened? There was this trend going on YouTube of a lot of people making bungalows. And I thought to myself, I never attempted that style before. I wonder, could I actually do one? So this was literally my first attempt at building a bungalow. So I watched her video again and I saw how, like, okay, she made literally a second story inside the roof. Like, this looks like it's, you know, all roofing, but if you turn to the side, there's actually, like, you know, a second level in here with walkable space and all of that. So what the cute thing about this house is that it's tiny. It literally looks like a tiny cute house, and I usually don't make houses this tiny, you know, like, this is very different for me. And ever since then, actually, I've made houses tinier than this. Like, I've made houses that are six, 7 tiles wide since this. But this was my first attempt at the smallest house that I've ever made. Mind you, again, if you've watched my previous video and you've heard a little bit about my building journey, I was someone who could not space out a lot for anything. My builds used to be so huge and so massive. I had no room for a yard. So this is very different for me. But anyway, I don't want to get too distracted. I literally want to show you guys the house and a little bit about the story behind it, who lives here. So let's take in the exterior. So again, I went with a craftsman style house. I picked out brown and brick as the exterior materials. Why did I choose that? Well, I really wanted to go with old and vintage, so I wanted a very, like, desaturated color, and brown was it. There's something about brown that just makes me think old, you know, or at least it fit well for an old aesthetic that I was going for, knowing that an elderly couple would stay here. And the cool thing about this house is I love the little porch here. Like, I could totally picture walking down this block and seeing the elderly couple in their rocking chairs, reminiscing and whatnot, and wanting to come here on Halloween and get candy from them, all that. So cool. Also, a lot of what we have here is courtesy of cats and dogs and seasons. Like, these windows are very great for craftsman style homes. As far as the yard, that's not much of a yard. Again, it's a very modest home. It's 2 stories, which is great. But again, they're not like the richest couple. They're probably living off, well, I was going to say retirement funds. No, that's not the story at all. They're barely scraping by, but I mean, they're cozy and they're charming. So the family that lives here, the wife is a homemaker, and I want to say that she, is still living in that 1950s like mentality of, like, the wife stays at home. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because it's not. And it's just cute for this little storyline that I had. And the husband, he actually goes to work in retail. I know that's funny, but, like, I like it. I really like it. That he goes to work and he comes back and he greets his wife and she has dinner and all of that. So yeah, there's not much of an exterior, as you can see. I really got my life with these plants. Like, I used to do this thing with this little plant right here. What do you call this? The hedge full of flowers. Great when you need a filler plant. So love that. And then what I did was I kind of found some tile that matched the sidewalk and made them a little pathway to the back of their house. The thing with the craftsmen is that they have front porches and back porches. So majority of the house, in my opinion, is porch. Cause for the house to be this small, they don't need all this room. You'd think they'd use it for actual extra space, but no. I stuck to the bungalow aesthetic and layout, so that's what we chose. Okay, so let's go in. And again, my reference here was totally exterior. The floor plan was just made by me. It's not accurate to how bungalows are. I do have a later build in which I attempt the bungalow again and actually build it to a real life floor plan. But I will show you guys that later. Right now, let's get into the build. So as you can see, we're back here with Sunny. If you guys remember, Sunny is my landlord. He's showing us around. He's a property manager for the Sunny worlds, such as Oasis Springs, Del Sol Valley, and San Sequoia. But I didn't make a property manager for Willow Creek, so he's helping us out by showing us some builds. So anyway, I got here pretty late. As you can see, it's like 9:30. So anyway, let's go inside. Oh, matter of fact, I'm gonna go in tab mode, make it theatrical. All right, so here I am going through the doors, and all the couples right here, I can see them already. Here we have what are their names again? I want to say, is it Vita and Vito? Anyway, I wanted to be diverse. I got a couple of Italian Sims because I wanted to have multiple cultures in my save file, and I was lacking representation. So if you know me, my builds is filled with like all types of people, and I was probably inspired by something that I was watching at the time, and I was just like, yeah, let me get a little bit of that spice in my life. So that's what I did. So here is Gia. That's her name. Her name is Gia Vespucci, and this is her husband, Vito. So they are a lovely couple. They actually have a grown son who has his own family, and he lives in that neighborhood in my previous video that you guys have seen, and he is very successful. I can show you his house. It's very luxurious, and it was like custom made and all of that. But this is their humble abode, and it's so cute. So let me show you the entryway. I did something a little bit different with this entryway. So for this house, for it to be this small, I had little space to work with, but I still wanted an idea of an entryway. And again, I've always been good at like floor plans, but I never, this was like my first time like giving a craftsman a go, and I did not look at actual floor plans for this. So I'm over here trying to work with the space and whatnot. But anyway, I decided to put these walls here to like literally make an entryway, and it worked. I want to say there are pillars here. You can barely see them because the Sims team made this update to where you can't see the columns if you're zoomed in close. They did that for a lot of people who had problem viewing. But yeah, nevertheless, like there are columns here, and I like having those as character to the house. If we go to this side of the house first, we have like a little dining area. This is the smallest dining little area I've ever like to have something considered like a dining room space. It's not even cut off from the rest of the house, like literally. Yeah, it's cute, it's cozy, but it's functional. I don't know who set this here. I didn't know you could set things that aren't finished on an actual table. Interesting. But anyway, also, again, I made this before Growing Together, so I could have used the Growing Together clock, but I had not purchased the pack at the time. But yeah, we have the base game grandfather clock. It's still doing justice. We have like these old vintage plates that came with base game. We also used this wallpaper, which I believe also came with base game. It could have came with the get together pack, and I just love it because it really has that like old school touch. Yes, so this is a base game wallpaper, and as you can see, it has these muted colors that I was going for. And over here, this is the same like toned down muted browns, muted tans in here, and it's vintage. We got the old school like oven. Now this was part of the, what is that, country kitchen kit. I love that kit. It's really great. Even got the old school refrigerator. So yeah, we made this work. Um, Ignore the toy on the floor. Like, they have a cat, and that cat's name is Smokey. And a lot of that influence was from that Stuart Little movie where there's like a cat that's very territorial. His name is Smokey, and he causes problems. A little fun for this elderly couple that were so cheerful. Anyway, so yeah, this is like Gia's Gia's spot right here. She loves her kitchen. She loves baking. Her best friend lives next door, and they bake together and they share their recipes. Really, really cool. And then we have the back porch. So this is where the guys will come. So Vito and his son or his friends, the other elderlies on the block, they'll come over and they'll just hang out, talk, play some cards. I love a good card game and a build, especially to show like bonding time with friends. I do that often. So yeah, that's this side of the house. As you can see, it's a very short tour because it's a very small house. Oh, and I guess I might as well show like the landscaping, and there's a little bench over here for Vito. Not that he should be working on that because he's elderly and he should reserve his energy, but it's there. All right, over here, oh, there's Smokey that I was talking about. Over here is the living room. Now this was tricky because I wanted an old grandparent home, but I really didn't have space for a living room. So barely any space to put a TV, but I'm like, I need a TV in the house. Like, it would just be weird without one to like, and I get it. There are some homes in which I don't do TVs where they're like really old Victorian style homes because it really doesn't make sense for them to have a TV in there. But for this one, I felt like it would be very fitting to have a TV because it is present day. Though this house was made probably in the 1940s, they did at least upgrade at some point to get a TV. And as you can see, this is probably like a 90s style TV. But yeah, I had no choice but to put it in this little nook, but I actually like it now. Adds character to the house, and I can definitely picture the family here. They do have grandchildren that come over. They have teenager grandchildren that come over, and they'll be bored. So the idea here is that Gia and Vito, they have two children. Even though I've only made one in my save file, I need to finish my lore. But one was, they had two, the lore was that they had two male Sims. And so if oh my gosh, I'm not switched over to the family. I can't even show you guys their family tree. Oh. But anyway, so I was saying that to say that this would have been the other, their offspring's room. But anyway, there's a little nook over here for Smokey to like, do his thing, be a cat. And then there's this computer over here, another old computer. Now, why do I have a computer in the house with like these elderly folks who probably don't even use this thing? Because I figured their family members or their like grandkids told them like, hey, you need a computer. You guys gotta have something. So this most likely happened at some point in their life, and this computer, as you can see, is on this very old vintage desk. So yes, it's another thing that barely gets used, or like when the kids are trying to show them something. But I thought that was a cute touch and very essential for gameplay because, guys, The Sims 4 relies so heavily on tech. Like, the fact that my sim needs this digital phone and this computer, like, I get it's the modern age, but I don't think the Sims team thought about the style in which we wanted to play when they built the Sims 4 foundation, because this is great for all the adults and young adults, but they didn't think about like Sims that wanted to live off the grid or have like that nomad lifestyle, or just for if you want to play out the storyline of elderly folks who just don't use tech. So the fact that we need this computer for a lot of basic functionality of like, ordering things that you can't get from buy mode. Yeah. Anyway, that's my little rant. This is the downstairs bathroom. Now, I really did it up old in here. We got the old clawfoot tub shower combo. I love putting these in older homes because it just makes a lot of sense. And we use very old wallpaper and like cracked wood boards and vintage vanity sinks. I really wanted to play up like it's vintage here. This house has been here since the 1940s, so we have all those little extra like funky quirks in the house. Radiators, which are now functional. I'm so glad, because again, I made this like pre-growing together, or like at the time of this specific build, growing together had launched and I just didn't have it. But later that year we got for rent, and the update that came made this functional. Because before, if you put a radiator in the house, it was just decor, you were just adding to the vibes. But now it actually is like, functional, and it can be of use, and I love that. Over in this room, again, this is the extra bedroom. Now, I know this is a small space. I had literally one tile left on the lot. Like, if you guys look, I was working with what I had. But yeah, I made it functional. So, as you can see, you can't put a full bed in here, but it's okay. For my storyline anyway, there wouldn't have been a full bed in here anyway. This would have been an old room that belonged to their son, one of their sons, as a teenager anyway. The reason there's two beds in here is because they have grandkids that come over, and they sleep here in these beds. So we made it work. I like it. It's cozy. We continued the wallpaper throughout, so it's a vibe. All right, and then next is this lovely staircase. I love that this staircase has so much character. It is just a nice feature of the house. I usually don't put staircases in the middle, but seeing how this is a feature, I went ahead and went for it, and I like it. Now, if you play with your walls half up, I'm so sorry for you, because this pretty much blocks whatever's behind it. But I'm someone who plays with my walls up a lot of the time, so it doesn't bother me. Now, again, I made this years ago, so I've since perfected my building skills, and I'm still growing to whereas I do think inclusive, like in terms of all the players that play with different wall styles and in different ways. So I would not make a house with this in the middle unless there was nothing being blocked. So anyway, talking about a staple feature, or like a special feature of the house, I also like the idea of this chair. So this I like to think of as Gia's chair, because it just looks like a grandma chair. It looks like an old vintage chair that's just very loved and worn in. So I just wanted to point that out, and that's why I chose that. Let's go upstairs, shall we? Let's go. So if we... Ooh, let me get down. If we head upstairs, Sonny, you could come up here if you want. If we were to head upstairs... Why can't I get lower? Oh, because that's the thing. Guys, if you're ever on top of a roof line, it will make your camera jump. So anyway, when you come upstairs, what you have here is a big hallway. Now it's huge, and I was thinking to myself, what do I do with this corner? And I thought, well, I got nifty knitting. We do have a couple of elders. Wouldn't it be cool if Gia had a little spot to do her knitting in peace and quiet? So that made a lot of sense. So this is where Gia will come in. I'm sorry, why can't Sunny... Where is Sunny? Did you knock? He probably didn't knock. Yeah, he didn't knock on the door, which is why he doesn't have access. Who is this little cool guy? Oh, Sydney. Yeah, this outfit caught my attention. That's why I was like, who is this dressed so nice? I know I didn't make that sound, but yeah. Oh, Sydney. Sydney's a cool guy. Alright, so I had to have Mr. Sunny Boulevard knock on the door. Now he can go upstairs. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get him to rock right here. But yeah, we got another little nook. We got decor. That was another thing that I would think of. I wanted to implement a lot of gameplay when I thought about these houses and, you know, redo my entire save file, which means all the worlds. Oh, Lord, I got a tenant rule violation. We will probably check that out since it's active now in my next video or a following video. Just so you guys can see my other build. All right, anyway, so I'm going to minimize that for right now. Let's give you guys a little tour. So this is the like foyer, and over here we have another bedroom. So again, this is small. I guess I could have brought it out a little more because it would blend in a little bit, but I mean, I like the size. And it goes to show, like, this house is old from back in the day. They could barely fit furniture in these old homes. But as you can see, this is Gia and Vito's another son's room of theirs. What is his name? I think his name is Vinny. Vinny? That might be his name. I forgot. But Vinny is into some extra activity, so but nobody goes in his room. That's why the kids don't stay in this room when they sleep over, because Vinny's old room is off limits. But yeah, this is Vinny's extra room. And then we got a full bath over here, again with those same vintage fixtures. And I had to work with what I had. I usually would not put a shower tub combo in front of a window, but you know, sometimes when it comes to layout, you got to work with what you got. And why do I say that? Because if I could just, you know, put this tub, you know, over here, it would fit, but for layout, I wanted it to look realistic. And a lot of realistic bathrooms, it's usually sink, toilet, or toilet, sink, then tub. That's just usually how it works. So I wanted to keep the realism, but again, we're not clipping. Okay, it's passable. And the only other room up here in this bungalow is Vita and no, I'm sorry, I'm getting the names confused. This family is so huge. Besides Gia and Vito, who you see downstairs, again, they have their son who is married, who has his own home somewhere else, and they have grandkids that are named after them. So that's why I'm getting the names confused, because there's another Tito, there's a little Giovanni or something. Look, it's a big family. Anyway, oh, look at that. Vito has went to sleep. So this is Vito and Gia's room. It's so huge though. Compared to the room over there on the other end, this is a huge room, which is good for them and very fitting for them because they're deserving of it. I like to think that Vito has worked very hard for all of his years of life, and he needs an appropriate retreat. So yeah. And then we kept with these like old style wallpapers with some print. Sorry, my camera keeps jumping. It's because the roof line is so close. But yeah, this is a basic bedroom with vintage furniture. We kept that old like vintage furniture from downstairs, and it's not matching. I wanted to make sure that this build looked like the family was frugal, you know, that they didn't need a matching set. They could get a deal that's cheaper, and that's why there's mismatch things downstairs. Even Let me see. Is the dining room mismatched too? Yes, as you can see, I don't know if you noticed, there's mismatched chairs because, they got a deal on the chairs. They found them, somewhere, and they weren't all matching, and it was cheaper. But yeah, I like to think that they are very conscious and money wise, which is the cool thing about this family dynamic. Vito here, he's very frugal. He likes finding deals. It's just one of his cute, cheerful perks of his personality. And his son, who you'll meet, Vinny. You probably seen Vinny if you've watched my Let's Play with the petty campaigns with Wilhelmina. Vinny is quite the character. He is definitely a personality. Anyway, so yeah, Vinny is the total opposite of Vito, where Vito lives in this house full of all the things he's accumulated over the years are not matching. In fact, a lot of them are like vintage or secondhand. Vito likes everything brand new, which is why he lives in luxury. But we'll take a look at Vinny's house, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. And last but not least, I had extra space in this house. So again, this is a 1940s style build in my eyes, my interpretation at the time with the knowledge I knew of how to build. So I know realistically there would not be an ensuite in a 1940s house unless it was renovated at some point. But I had the space, and I thought for gameplay that would make a lot of sense to have an extra bathroom. So I thought, why not? So we added it, and I added tiles in here as if this was a renovation in the 80s. What tile would this be from? Would this be like a 50s, 60s tile? No, this is a Parenthood style. Or would it be 70s? Okay, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this was a 70s renovation. To which they had, their own bathroom put here. And maybe this was just like extra wall space that they had, or closet. But yeah. So this was their bathroom. Pretty spacious. And like I said, I feel like Vito is so deserving of this because he's worked hard for a lot of years. But, that is all of our house. So, look at Sunny just sitting in a chair. If you enjoyed this build, this cute little craftsman, and feel like you would like this grandparents' house, you can find it on my gallery. So, let's get another look at it. It's so cute. And again, it follows my house rules of at least having at least 3 bedrooms if it's going to be a house at all. It's got to be worth it. So you can fit 3 Sims in here. If you do the double bed, you can fit more. It's 3 bedrooms. Of course, you can have a couple in this room. And if you don't care about the look, if you want to extend this out, you can. But it's there for your liking. Also, let me tell you guys where you can find this. So if I go to build mode, you'll see that the name of the lot is called the Elderly Bungalow. It is a 20 by 15 lot, very small. And again, you can find it on my gallery ID, Marsh Attack 12. So this is how you spell it. And again, stop by the gallery. I have a catalog that's full of a lot, and it's like literally an evolution of all my builds. So you'll find residential lots here, community lots, rec centers, performance art centers, all of that, everything here. So yeah, you guys enjoy yourself. I'm gonna go back to live mode, and thank you guys for checking out another build from my Memory Lane series. This was so fun, and yeah, I can't wait to show you guys the next video. And tell me what you think about this in the comments, about the vintage look and aesthetic in this craftsman, and what you like about it or what you do differently, and if you plan to download it. So yeah, until next time, thank you guys for watching, and bye.